Welcome back. I'm Jill with thecarefreekitchen.com, and today I'm going to be sharing with you 13 of my very favorite Halloween recipes. Now, these recipes are everything you need for your Halloween party. We have main courses, some really spooky appetizers, some really fun Halloween drink ideas, everything from root beer in a cauldron to our spooky witch punch. And then, of course, we have our Halloween treats. These are everything you need for your Halloween party. And bonus, wait till the end, I will share with you 5 bonus recipes. Let's get going. Follow along and I will show you step by step how to make these cute little Halloween recipes. The first one on the list are some spooky mummy hot dogs. To get started, I'm going to unwrap my Pillsbury crescent rolls. If you don't have these on hand, just a homemade pizza crust will do great. So I'm going to unwrap my crescent rolls here, and then I'm going to use a pizza cutter, and this is the quickest way to do it. And I just like to cut like little, 1/3 of an inch, maybe 1/2 inch max little strips, and they don't have to be even. In fact, they look even better if they're like a little bit rugged and jagged. Then you get like those little knots and like end pieces that make it look even more rustic. To prepare my hot dogs, I like to put them on some paper towels or some napkins. That works great. And then just pat them dry. The dough tends to stick on the hot dogs a little bit better if it's dry, so this does help. And then I'm just going to take the end, and I like to go one way and then turn it around and go the other way, so it's kind of like a little crisscross pattern on your hot dogs. And then once you have all of your hot dogs ready, you are going to place them on a parchment sheet lined baking pan. So they are ready to go. We're going to add the eyeballs after we are done cooking them. We're going to put them into the oven at about 375. You want to preheat your oven to 375 degrees, and then we're going to bake them for about 12 to 15 minutes. And what we're looking for here when we bake them is we want them to be golden brown on top and then golden brown on the bottom. And if you really want to jazz these up, a great way to do that is to sprinkle a little bit of garlic salt on the top, or you could sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan cheese, or both. That would be a great way to just jazz these up. When they are out of the oven, let them cool for about 5 minutes. You don't want to like burn your hands, but then as soon as you can touch them a little bit, you can add a little eyeball. And it's fun to add just like one eyeball, so it's like this little Cyclops, or the 2 eyeballs is just so adorable. I mean, they all come out different every single time, and I think that's what makes it really, really fun. This is just one of our kids' favorite Halloween recipes. It's super fun to eat on Halloween night, or if you're just having a party with friends. Okay, second on our list is our homemade root beer. And this homemade root beer uses just 4 ingredients and can be made in about 15 minutes. You can serve it in a large punch bowl or a big cauldron with some extra dry ice for an extra spooky Halloween treat. You're going to add 4 cups of water to your cauldron or your bowl, and then you're going to add about 2 to 3 cups of sugar. And then I'm going to add 1 to 2 pounds of dry ice. To that, you're going to add 3 tablespoons of root beer extract, and I like to stir this until all of the sugar is nice and dissolved. Be sure you don't have any there left in the bottom of the bowl. If you just stir it for a couple minutes, that should be plenty of time. I'm going to break that into like 3 to 4 inch chunks. And if you want to bubble it longer, then you keep the dry ice in bigger pieces. And for our third recipe, we're going to be making some Halloween caramel corn, and I just found these cute little cups at my party supply store. Super simple and easy to make.
First thing I'm going to do is add 2 cubes of butter and just let that melt. And then to that, I'm going to add 1 cup of Caro syrup, 1 can of sweetened condensed milk, 1 cup brown sugar, and 1 cup white sugar. And then I'm also going to add in a pretty generous pinch of salt. And now we're going to cook that on medium heat, and you want to continuously stir this while it comes up to a boil. And if you go one way on the pan and then go the other way, so you're sure to scrape the whole bottom of the pan. Okay, here is my caramel, and I've been stirring this for about 3 minutes so far. And this is going to go from a really light color to kind of a more deep caramel color. Okay, and then also, this is my candy thermometer, and I want this to reach 240 degrees. That's softball stage. Stir this, and then keep an eye on how warm your caramel gets. And you don't want it to go above that 240 mark, or it's going to be too hard on your teeth when you eat it. So between $2.35 and $2.40 for caramel popcorn. And there we go. Okay, now I'm just going to take it off the heat here. To prepare my pan, I'm just going to use a large baking sheet and spray it with, I have coconut oil here, but you can use any kind of nonstick cooking spray. Been off the heat for just about a minute, and I'm going to add my caramel. I just want to add a little bit at a time and then stir it up. We just want all of the popcorn covered and kind of lightly here. All right, this is about right here. I'm going to add it onto my baking sheet here. And this is just my greased baking sheet. And I want to do it pretty evenly so it all kind of cools at the same time.
Here is my soft and chewy homemade caramel corn. Super simple to make and perfect for your Halloween parties. Halloween recipe number 4 is our purple witch punch. And this is super spooky and so fun to make. All you need is just a few ingredients. The first thing you're going to need is one 60-ounce can of pineapple juice, or you can use lemonade, that works great too. And to that, I'm going to add 1 packet of grape Kool-Aid, and be sure it's a purple grape Kool-Aid. And then to that, we're going to add 2 liters of Sprite or Squirt or ginger ale. Any of those will work great. And then about a half a pound of dry ice. And this is optional, but this is what's going to give it that really spooky, bubbly flavor. And of course, be very careful if you are working with dry ice. But check out my purple witch punch. This is such a fun and easy, and really just makes your party so much fun and so festive. This quick and easy purple Halloween punch is perfect for your Halloween party and is extra spooky with the dry ice and that foggy Halloween touch. Add just a little dry ice and serve in decorative cups. What an adorable recipe. Recipe number 5 is our graveyard dirt cups, and it's made with layers of pudding, Oreo crumb, and it has these spooky little graveyard themed Halloween treats. To get started, I'm going to make my pudding. Now this is chocolate pudding. I'm just using the 4-ounce Jell-O no-bake ones and putting it into a bowl and whisking it, and you're going to whisk it for about 30 seconds. The next thing we're going to do is crush up our Oreos, and I have about 20 Oreos or so here. It doesn't have to be exact, but I just put them in a Ziploc bag, and this makes it super easy to make our crushed dirt. And the little flecks of like the frosting are perfect and make it really look like dirt. I'm just going to put that into my gallon Ziploc bag, and then I will hit it with my rolling pin and then like roll it out. And it doesn't have to be really fine. You could still have some chunks in there. So just feel it a little bit and see if you have any big pieces, and if so, you can just break those up. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is add in our Cool Whip, and I like to add in about 2 cups of Cool Whip. You could also use some prepared whipped cream. That would be delicious, especially if you're using homemade pudding. That is a great combination. The next thing we're going to do is make our little tombstones. And I like to buy the black frosting so I don't have to worry about coloring it that dark, and you just need a little bit of it. So I like to put that right into an icing bag with just a little tiny round tip, one that you can easily write with. A secret to this is to get your frosting a little bit warm, so you can just hold it in your hand for about a minute, and that will get it warm enough that you can write easily on those tombstones. So today I'm just going to put rest in peace, RIP, about 8 to 10 of the Milano cookies to give it that little bit of spooky vibe, and these are going to be perfect for our little dirt cups. And I'm just going to continue to do this until I get all of my cookies done, and then you can even make this beforehand, so if you want to assemble them kind of last minute. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add my pudding into my 8 or 9 ounce little cups, and I like to use an ice cream scoop because then it won't get like on the sides too much. So just, probably about 2/3 of a cup of the pudding mixture into the cup. And then next I'm going to add just a couple scoops, enough to cover my pudding with the Oreo crumbs to make the dirt on top of my Oreo crumbs. And then the next thing we're going to do is we'll add individually every one of those little tombstones right on top to make our little graveyard. And then here you can add basically whatever you want. I ended up just splitting the gummy worms in 2 and then putting 2 in there, and I like to actually make like different colored ones, or you can like swap out like a green and yellow and then a red and green one, whatever you want to do. It's so cute to have like all the fun little variations. And then those little Brock's pumpkins are so cute to put on there. I have found some little cats to put on there, or you can add some like orange and purple sprinkles to this too. There's a lot of different sprinkle mixes, so just have fun. They are so cute. They are so adorable, and kids love them. They're literally one of the first things gone at any party. So anyways, I hope you guys love them as much as we do. These are my spooky graveyard dirt cups, an easy no bake Halloween dessert recipe. Recipe number 6 is our mummy poppers. Now these spooky little mummy poppers are an easy Halloween appetizer that is almost too cute to eat. You're going to preheat your oven to 400 degrees, and then you're going to carefully slice your jalapenos in half lengthwise. Just use a spoon to scoop out the seeds, and if you can wear gloves on this, that is really going to save your hands. Sometimes the juices burn your hands. Now you can use a spoon to fill each of the jalapeno peppers with soft room temperature cream cheese. And then we're going to get a strip of bacon, and I like to use really thin bacon. And now we're going to wrap our little jalapeno poppers, place the jalapeno peppers on a parchment sheet lined baking sheet, and bake for about 20 minutes or until the bacon is golden brown and crispy. And then add 1 or 2 little candy eyes to each mummy. Next on our list is our little mini bean dip cups with the cute little spiders on top. One of the things that I love about this recipe is that it's just so easy to make, and you can make it ahead of time. So if you're going to a party and you don't have time to prepare it right before, you can obviously just like make it ahead. Okay, so to get started, I have my refried beans, and I love these jalapeno beans. They have just like the right amount of spice. And as far as canned beans go, these are my favorite. I'm just going to add them into a bowl, and then to that I'm going to add in some salsa. And the salsa just makes it like a little bit lighter so that it's easier to scoop on your chip. And then of course I have my spice is just a little bit of taco seasoning, and I'm just going to use a spoon and mash this up together. As this sits for a little bit, all of those spices from the taco seasoning rehydrates and gives it just a ton of flavor. I really think you're gonna like it. These are just some 8-ounce cups, 8 or 9-ounce cups, and I like to use a cookie dough scoop, and I would just put a scoop in there, and that way I can keep from getting stuff like on the sides of the cup. One of the things that's really good about this recipe is the layers, and you can see the layers of the yumminess in there. And then of course you can just take a paper towel or a napkin, and if you get some on the side, just wipe it off there. Okay, these are my piping bags. If you have followed me for very long, you know how much I love these. I use these all the time in my kitchen, and this is a perfect application. I'm just going to add my sour cream to a piping bag and cut off like a little tips so I can evenly spread it out onto my beans. And I'm just going to pipe it out and then use the back of a spoon and just level it out, so then I get like the stacked layers there. It just makes it really so pretty. So now I have my sour cream in there, and I'm going to do the same for my guacamole. And this guacamole is a little bit chunky, so you can cut off a little bigger part of the tip and add your guacamole on top. And then again, I just use the back of the spoon to even that out. And by using the piping bag, it really keeps it from like getting up on the sides of the cup, so you can get that nice pretty layering. After the guacamole, I like to add some shredded cheese, and I like the brightness of a pure shredded cheese, not like a mixed blend, but that would work too. And I like to put it right around the edges of the cup because I want to see a little bit of that guacamole on top, in contrast to the black olive, just like, you know, makes it like a little bit more spooky. So my cheese is going to go on the edges, and then you can add whatever toppings you like here. I'm going to add a little bit of diced tomato, and then I like to thinly slice some green onions and add those on top too. It makes just like a nice little crisp bite on your bean dip, but you know, whatever your family likes, or if you're making this for kids, maybe you want to leave the green onions off. And then for my olives, I like to turn it like lengthways and then cut off about half of it. And half of it I'm going to cut into legs, and you will need more than 1 olive for the legs. I like to lay out like 6 legs, like 8 just seems like a little bit too much. It's hard to fit it in there, but you can do 6 legs, 3 on each side, and then put the half of olive right on top. And this just looks like such a fun, cute little detail that is perfect for these spooky little mini dips. And again, I'm just adding another olive here, and this makes just such a fun little treat. All right, here are my spooky little bean dips. I think you're really gonna love them. They're perfect for taking to any party or gathering. To finish it off, I'm going to squeeze on just a little bit of lime before I serve them, and then I also like to put on just a little bit of freshly chopped cilantro. I mean, just that like combination of the spicy beans and the cool sour cream, and then the little bit of lime with the chips. I mean, it is just such a fun snack, so I hope you love it as much as we did. Recipe number 8 is our black licorice caramel. I like to think of this as maybe some witch's tar or some witch's candy. It's made with a very simple caramel recipe. We're going to put some butter and sugar and brown sugar into a pan and stir that until smooth, and then add in our corn syrup, some salt, and cook that on medium heat until it reaches about 240 degrees. Next, you're going to add some black food coloring and some black licorice extract, and then stir until smooth. We're going to pour that into a pan, cut into squares, and serve our witch's tar to all of our favorite little ghosts and goblins. Recipe number 9 is our spooky mummy pretzels. Okay, so for these pretzels to get started, I'm going to add about 2/3 of my little chocolate wafers into a bowl, and then I'm going to put it into the microwave. These chocolate wafers are not as temperamental as like chocolate chips even, so you can put them in the microwave for about 45 seconds, and then you're going to stir it. And if it's like pretty warm, I would just continue to stir it until all of the chocolate is melted. And if it is just like not quite warm enough, if it's not warmer than maybe like the temperature of your hand, then you probably want to put it back in the microwave, and you can put it back in for 20 to 30 seconds and then stir it again, and you can just repeat that until all of your chocolate is melted. Now I'm going to dip my little pretzels, and I like to just drop it into the chocolate, and then I like to use a fork and tamp it down a little bit, and then lift the pretzel up with the fork and then just shake it a little bit. And I also like to scrape it on the edge of the bowl as I'm like taking the pretzel off of the chocolate, and then I'm going to put it on a parchment lined baking sheet. Now you can put it on the baking sheet and then just don't move it and wait for it to harden. And I'm going to do this with all of my pretzels, and I'm going to do 1/3 of my chocolate. If I accidentally get it like a little bit too hot, you can put in the rest of that chocolate to cool it down, and then the heat from the chocolate will continue to melt the rest of those wafers. I like to do about 2/3 or maybe 3/4 of the chocolate first, and then add in the rest to cool it down just a little bit. Okay, so now I'm going to continue to do this with the remaining pretzels until I want to leave just a little bit of chocolate left so that I can put it in a piping bag and then make like the mummy designs on it. We're just going to continue this process until we have about 1/3 of a cup of the melted chocolate left. That should be enough to do like the toppings on your like little mummy pretzels. You're going to just let those cool. It only takes about 10 or 15 minutes for the chocolate on these pretzels to harden. That should be plenty of time. You could even pop them in the fridge if you want, or a cold garage works great to speed up that timing. Okay, so after the chocolate has had a chance to set up on the pretzels, you're going to add the chocolate to a piping bag, and of course I always talk about these piping bags. They are my favorite to have on hand. It's just so nice to have something that's disposable. It's so hard to wash out those reusable piping bags, so these work great. You can even put a little tip in them if you want, but for this I just need like a little circle, so I'll just cut the tip off of that like pretty little, and then I'm going to like squeeze my bag to the end, twist it, and then I can easily drizzle all of the chocolate onto my pretzels. And I like to do kind of a crisscross pattern, a little bit random, so that it looks more like a mummy that's wrapped. I mean, these are just so cute and so festive. This is on like double time speed, so you don't have to watch me do it all so slowly. But one thing you do want to make note of though is you don't want this chocolate to set up completely until you put a little eyeball on it. If by chance it does set up completely, then you might need to add another little dot of chocolate to the backside of your eyeball to make it stick. Do the mummy wrapping for maybe 15 or 20 of the pretzels, and then go and put the eyeballs on before chocolate hardens. So these just make such a fun and cute treat. Okay, here are my cute little mummy pretzels. I mean, aren't be so adorable? Wouldn't these be so cute? Like put on like a little charcuterie board, like a spooky one for maybe a movie night in, or to take to a class party. These are so adorable and kids just love them. The little eyes are edible. As an adult, I don't usually eat them, but my kids do love them. They're kind of like the texture of maybe like a hard Smartie or something. So they are edible, but these just make such a fun and cute little spooky Halloween dessert. Recipe number 10 is our skull or our skeleton pizza pockets. These are a really fun recipe to make for your Halloween party. You can buy the molds of the skeleton heads at your local craft store, and I like to just lay a sheet of either crescent roll dough, or you can use homemade pizza dough, onto the molds and then use the back of your hand to kind of pat that down. Next, you're going to add your favorite pizza toppings and then cut that in squares and just pinch in those edges of the pizza crust. Next, you're going to bake them in the oven, and when you turn them out onto a platter, check out these amazing pizza head skulls. Recipe number 11 is our green witch punch. Now, this is one of my very favorite Halloween recipes, and it's super simple to make. It's a perfect non-alcoholic punch recipe for your Halloween party. I'm going to add some pineapple juice into a bowl, or you could use lemonade too, and then a packet of lime or green Kool-Aid. Lime or green Kool-Aid. Next, we're going to add some green sherbet, and this is usually lime. And to that, we're going to add some dry ice and then finish it off with some squirt, Fresca, or ginger ale. Any of those varieties will work great, but this is such a fun and spooky Halloween punch recipe. You can also serve it in adorable little cups. I found these at my local party supply store. They have these cute little spiders on them, and they make the perfect addition for this very spooky punch. Recipe number 12 is our caramel apple punch, and this recipe also is really simple to make. It's made with some of our very favorite fall ingredients. We have some apple cider, some pumpkin pie spice. You can use caramel sauce or caramel syrup, and then some ice. And then just to add a little bit of a decorative touch, I like to add some sliced apples, some cranberries, and then of course some ice. This is our carameled apple punch. Recipe number 13 is our carameled apples. And if you have never made carameled apples before, this is the time to do it. It's super easy to make. You can get all the details on my website, but we're going to make some homemade caramel and then dip our apples. You can dip granny apple or any of your favorite apples. We're going to prepare the apples by washing them and then put a stick in. And to make the caramel, we're going to use butter, sugar, brown sugar, sweetened condensed milk, Caro syrup, a little bit of salt, and again, cook that until it reaches 235 to 240 degrees Fahrenheit. And then you're going to let it cool just a little bit and dip your apples. You can place it on a greased baking sheet and then repeat all of the steps until you have all of your apples dipped. And then to finish them off, I like to add a little bit of white chocolate and then some crushed Butterfingers, but you let your imagination run wild. This is such a fun and easy carameled apple recipe, and really it's no fail. It works every single time, and I hope you love it. Okay, now it's time for those bonus recipes I told you about. These are super simple to make. The first one is our Cyclops meatballs, and I just bought prepared meatballs from the store from the freezer section and then wrapped it in thinly sliced bacon. And you're going to bake that in the oven until the bacon is nice and crispy and golden brown, and then add a big eyeball to it. And this makes such a spooky and fun Halloween recipe. And our next bonus recipe is a Rice Krispie brain. I found this mold also at the craft store, and I made Rice Krispie treats with some chunks of red gummy candy, and I tell you what, this is so spooky and fun to eat. I finished it off with just a glaze of some strawberry sauce, so it looks like spooky and bloody. Such a fun Halloween recipe. The next recipe I have for you is my graveyard cupcakes, and these are very similar to my graveyard dirt cups, but we're going to make cupcakes just like you would normally, and then I'm adding some chocolate frosting to them, and then rolling them in some crushed Oreos, and then topping them off with some Brock's pumpkin candies. These are Milano cookies, and I just wrote RIP on there. These are such a cute and easy Halloween recipe. The next recipe is our candy corn jack-o'-lantern cookies, and these are made with a very simple to make sugar cookie recipe, and it's a drop sugar cookie recipe. And then I finished it off with some orange frosting and then made the eyes nose and mouth out of some candy corns. And our next Halloween recipe is a Cyclops Cupcake, and this is super easy to make. And I just made a classic cupcake recipe. They're chocolate cupcakes, and then I made frosting buttercream, and I just split it into 3 different bowls, and then made 3 different kinds of frosting. The dark one is chocolate, so I added some cocoa powder to it, but the purple and orange, I just used some gel food coloring. These are such a cute and easy Halloween recipe. Thank you so much for watching my 13 favorite Halloween recipes. I hope you enjoyed them, and of course, be sure to like, subscribe, and follow me for more fun and easy recipes. I have some fun holiday ones coming up, so thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.